Good morning. Welcome back to Suzuki Book 2. Today I'm going to do song number 5, Waltz, for violin and for viola. And actually, number 5, Waltz, has a lot of things that are repeated. So really, there's basically one section that's kind of repeated through the whole thing. There's one tiny little different section. So violas are starting with no sharps. So you're going to have squishy 2s on your upper 2 strings. Violins have 1 sharp. So you have an F sharp in your key signature. And so you're still going to have a squishy 2 on the A string and a squishy 2 on the E string. So the top 2 strings are squishy. Okay, so the first tricky thing that we have in here is the very first note. When you look at it, it is a quarter note, and it has, which is generally 1 beat, but it has a dot after it. So the dot adds half of whatever it used to be worth. And so that means it's going to be 1.5 beats. So 1.5 beats followed by an eighth note. So if you look, you're going to see the little tiny flag attached to it. So that's a half beat. 1.5 plus a half equals 2. Okay, so that means instead of playing quarter, quarter, we're going to give a little more time to the first one, a little less time to the second one. 1.5 and a half. All right, so if I played, say, the first 2 measures, 1.5, 1.5. All right. Now, when you look at that, you'll also notice that there is a slur. So that's the second thing. A lot of times I'll say, if you can't do the slur, leave the slur out and just add that in later. In this case, the slur is important, and it's part of the teaching elements in this piece. So you want to go from 1 string to the next string lower and then back up without slowing down or without stopping your bow. So it's pull, now 2 pushes, pull, 1.5, and a half. Okay, so that's something to work on. Just those first 2 measures. You'll notice the first 2 measures are exact repeats. Okay. When you get to the third measure, you're going to notice one other thing that is a little bit weird. You're going to see teeny tiny notes. Those teeny tiny notes are grace notes. They're decorations or ornaments, we call them. And they just make it fancier. If you left out the tiny notes, you'd have 3 quarter notes. If you put in the grace notes or the decorations, so really all I did was I played the note, the big note that's written, and then the 2 little notes, but I played the 2 little notes as fast as possible. And in this case, they're also slurred together. So it'll be, it's really going from the 2 up to the note above it and back down to the 2. It's just decorating that second finger note. Okay, so remembering squishy 2s, remembering slurs if you can do them, remembering dotted quarter note beats. Okay, I'm going to play through until the repeat sign. So this is the A section of the piece. 1.5, 1.5, 1.5, squishy, 1.5, 1.5. Use your 4 to avoid a string crossing. And you'll notice in those last 2 measures, so measure 7 and measure 8, there's a high 2 in measure 7 because it's marked sharp, so it's an accidental. And there is a high 2 in the first ending, or measure 8, because in the violin part, it's marked, it's an F sharp from the key signature. And in the viola part, it's a B on the G string, which is a second finger that's naturally natural. So they don't have to put a sharp sign in front of it in order for it to be high 2. All right, so that is the essence of the piece, really, most of the piece. There's a repeat sign, so you would do it again. So you do the A section, then repeat and do the A section again. At the end of the piece, measure 16, you're going to do the same thing again. Okay? So it's that middle section from measure 10 to measure 15 that's different. Now, when you look at it, it's got the same rhythm. So we see almost every measure has a dotted quarter note followed by an eighth note, and it has the same slurs. So we're slurring from one string to the next. You'll notice that there were a couple places where they marked in fourth finger instead of doing string crossing, because if you can keep a slur on the same string, it's going to be way easier. All right, so we're going to start at measure 10, and I'm going to play through to the downbeat of measure 16. All right. 1 and a half. 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 And that's it. That's it. So I demonstrated on violin, and I'm going to play straight through on viola. Except for I'm not going to do any of the repeats, so I'll just take the second time ending if your book is written like that. Okay? Here we go. 1 and a half. 1 and a half. Squish. 1 and a half. Use your 4. Push, push. Second ending if it's written like that. Measure 10. This is where it's different. And it says get louder. Slowing down. Now quietly. 1 and a half. And a half. 1 and a half. And a half. And a half. And there I did the second ending too. Okay, hopefully you can do that one. Bye.